Welcome to the Craig Project.
What's up, guys? Today we're gonna go ahead and answer some questions that some viewers sent in, so let's get right to it.
Okay, who do you think the best boxer in boxing is right now?
That's a good question. That's a tough one. In my opinion, I would have to say Vasily Lomachenko. There's a lot of, I could give you a top five and I could argue back and forth the order or argue with everyone over it, but as far as number one, pound for pound right now, I'd have to say Vasily Lomachenko. And the reason is because compared to all the other top five guys that could try to take that position, he makes his competition look like they don't belong in the ring with him. And as far as anyone else in boxing right now, he's the only one doing that.
Okay. Who is the best boxer in history?
Ooh, that's another tough one. I'd have to say, of all time though, it'd have to be Sugar Ray Robinson. And yeah, by far. And just because he won, who knows, over 150 fights. I know he won. He went on a 44 fight win streak, lost to Jake LaMotta, I believe, and then he went on another like 88 fight win streak. And yeah, I would have to say best of all time would be Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay. I'm a little shocked because you didn't say Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but as far as my all-time favorite boxer, would be Mike Tyson for sure.
Okay, so favorite.
Okay. As far as defense though, defensive wise, I would say Floyd Mayweather by far is the best defensive boxer of all time.
See, I agree with that. Yeah. All right, question 3. Boxing or MMA?
Boxing and MMA. I'd have to say both. Just because I like watching them both. But I think they've kind of switched roles lately as far as which one's my favorite. Because when I was really into MMA, boxing was kind of quiet. There wasn't too many great fights out there, or too many boxers that were just like, besides like Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, every time they fought, you knew, it wasn't really up against each other or anyone that honestly was gonna actually give them a run for their money. And then MMA, there was some great fights, a lot of good competition. Fights can go, anyone can win on any day as far as MMA goes. But now boxing's kind of taken over, and they're the ones putting a lot better fights on, and MMA is getting kind of, not as far as the fighters are still great, and they have more skills now than when like I was fighting, but the fights aren't as exciting as what they used to be. And boxing, with their promoters, not fighting each other over who the best promoter is, they're actually giving us, the fans, the best fights that they can. So that's a tough one. I'd say both. I don't know if that's an option or not, but I'd say both.
All right. Who's the best in UFC history?
I'd have to say George St. Pierre.
I agree.
Yeah. I would say John Jones surpassed him, but he did have those issues so I would stick with my first as far as George St. Pierre. And he beat everybody that he fought at his time that had a chance to beat him. He fought him. He didn't turn down any fights, and he beat Matt Hughes and George St. Pierre and all the great fighters. I mean, he beat Matt Hughes and BJ Penn and everybody that was top-notch fighter at 170 pounds.
And he came back.
Then he came back and out of retirement for years, and then he beat Michael Bisping for the 185-pound title. So, and I would like to see him come back and fight for the 155-pound title against old Khabib Nurmagomedov. That would be a good fight.
That would be.
And I think George St. Pierre could beat him. Honestly, I really do. It'd be a tough fight, but I think George has the skills to beat him. And I'm a big Khabib fan, but I think George could beat him.
Oh, okay. I'd be shocked.
Anyway, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. I don't know. That'd be a good fight. I give you that.
Yeah.
All right. So you used to do both boxing and MMA. If you could go back, which would you go back to?
That's another both answer for me. If I could, I would go back to both. As far as I would go back to MMA because of what I've learned from training and learning how to box correctly. And I think if I use the skills that I've learned over the past 10 years and go back to my early 20s and use the boxing skills that I know now, I would demolish the fighter I was in my prime. And as far as boxing wise, of course, I'd go back to boxing because when I started learning how to truly box, it was just something that I fell in love with, and I would always love to showcase my boxing skills at any age.
All right. Okay, calm down, killer. Calm down.
All right, guys. Well, if you guys have any more questions, be sure to submit them to us, or any topics you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll get that taken care of for you.